This is episode 510. And before we begin to talk about how to become more fearless, I just wanted to give an update. I've been getting a lot of questions, emails, etc., about how my knee replacement surgery went. Well, it went well. And about 4 or 5 days afterwards, there was a small blood clot in my calf, I've never felt pain like this. I'm telling you, my avalanche, my pneumonia, CrossFit, WODs, all of it, nothing compared to this blood clot. And it was a small one. It wasn't a deep vein thrombosis, but the pain it caused was excruciating. Anyway, we took care of that with some items and rehab, but back on rehab, and it's going great. My flexion is doing well. The extension's doing well. Was actually at rehab today. Just did some TRX squats, so I'm happy about getting some full body movement in there. But for me, it keeps coming back on this knee replacement is my mindset. I'm mentally strong. I can push through pain, but I also have to be patient in allowing my body to repair at its own accord. So working with the therapist, working with the PT, working with a lot of people, my significant other, my partner, working with all of these people, helping me keep on track and not getting too far ahead of the game so my body can do what it wants. So the mental strength for me in this particular case is developing patience. So anyway, just wanted to give you an update on that. Thank you for everybody who has been checking in on it. So fearless, courage, whatever you want to call it. Your life would be a lot more interesting and rewarding if you could just become a little bit more fearless. I mean, seriously, if you think about how you've held yourself back from doing things, it's probably because of fear. Imagine if you became more fearless or more courageous. Staying in your comfort zone is strangling your life. Your life is not meant to be lived in your comfort zone. You expand your comfort zone, you sit there for a little bit, that becomes your new comfort zone, and you expand it and expand it and expand it. And how you expand it is becoming more fearless. So just a tad more courage will help your self-esteem too, right? Our self-esteem is how we see ourselves. And we see ourselves based on a story that we have created. And if we can have a little bit more courage and do things that we didn't think we could do, our self-esteem will improve. And you just don't have to wish you were bolder. You can be bolder, right? So just taking that action, taking that mental strength, and doing the things that make you feel uncomfortable. There is a fearless person lurking inside of you, and I hope this podcast will help bring that person out. So the number one way of becoming more fearless is avoid worrying what others will think of you. We may do this unconsciously, we may do this consciously, but sometimes we don't want to try something like we do a new gym. Like if we're in the gym and we want to do a new movement, maybe a squat, maybe an overhead squat, maybe a snatch, we're worried what people will think about us, so we don't try it, or we wait till there's nobody around. Well, let me tell you, unless you can find a way to put yourself in the history books, it's not going to be very long until no one's left to remember you. So really, what are you afraid of? People aren't, here's the thing is, people are watching us, yes, but also we're not that important that we have to worry what others think of us. We are the last thing on other people's minds. So to put ourselves at, well, what will they think? We're putting ourselves in a higher light than perhaps we really are. All we need to do is not worry, but is focus on ourselves. What do we want to accomplish and go after it? Number two, ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? Yes, from a positive person, from a mental strength person, this may seem kind of strange, but the Stoics did this. And the challenge here is that unless you're in danger of falling to your death or losing a limb, there probably really isn't too much to worry about. When you're feeling fearful, figure out the worst possible outcome and then figure out how to circumvent it. And if you can live with it, there's nothing to worry about. I mean, this is when we can think of and not worry about this is the worst thing that can happen, but beyond that, here's the worst that could happen if I try to start my own business. Well, I'll fail. Well, then what? Well, then I'll get a job. What do you have now? A job. So you're no worse off for it. But most people will go, well, I'm just going to fail, and they stop there. Well, yes, we want to know what the worst thing can happen, and then how can we move beyond it? So that will help you become more fearless as well. Deal with smaller stressors and fears. This is like lifting weights. You start off with 5 pounds, then 10, then 20, then 30, and you keep going back to the gym. You keep lifting heavier and heavier and heavier weights. You get stronger and stronger and stronger. So the key to managing big fears is to deal with the smaller ones. Your mind will become accustomed to your new patterns of thought and action by dealing with these smaller fears. Plus, the skill and confidence you gain by overcoming these smaller fears will give you the ability to dominate the larger ones. It's like riding a bicycle. You put the training wheels off, then you take the training wheels off, and then you start doing tricks and you start doing everything. This is a great way. Just, inch by inch, anything's a cinch. Number 4, learn to relax. The best way to overcome fear is to relax. I've covered different types of breathing. There's the box breathing. There's the 7-Eleven breathing. All of these can help you relax. There's great meditation audios out there. You can train yourself to automatically relax when you first feel fear. You can create a trigger, and that trigger could be a flower. And you see that flower, and then you start to relax. So relax your muscles. Think peaceful thoughts and breathe deeply. Again, practice with smaller upsets first, and then get better at the big ones. How you do anything is a reflection of how you do everything. So if you can't handle the small ones, you're not going to handle the big ones. When you can handle the small ones, you can handle the big ones. Number 5, play the odds. So how many of your fears actually have come true? Probably a small percentage. Some studies suggest that about 20% of your fears come true. And this is that 80-20 rule, which means that 80% of your fears or things that you worry about don't actually come true. So if you can deal with the worst possible outcome, and there's only a 20% it will even happen, you have little to worry about. So now we're combining these two different methods, right? To deal with the small ones, worst possible outcome, play the odds. Number 6, realize that fear only happens between your ears. Almost all fears are unique, and they are of your own creation. You might be afraid of snakes, but your friend isn't. So this is our own personal fears. You might be afraid of heights, but your sister finds them fun, exhilarating. In most instances, you are the source of your fear. Now, there are different types of fears out there, right? If you're in the forest and a bear is there and coming at you, yes, that is fear. Everybody's going to be afraid of that. But when we start looking at starting a business, asking someone out on a date, doing something different, trying a new sport, trying a new hobby, giving a presentation, all of these things create fear. Those are all in our head. The physical danger of a bear or falling off a cliff or some of those things partially may be in our head. Some of them are external. But if you're afraid of heights, do bungee jumping, do skydiving. But realize that most of the fear is in your head, your mind. And the more you feed that fear, the more you're going to believe it's real. So when we can start realizing that the fear is just the story that we're creating, and then use some of the previous techniques to eliminate that, you'll then become more fearless. Focus on the positive outcomes. And this is, in NLP we talk about there is no failure, just feedback. And with every feedback, there's a learning. And this is one of the key components to mental strength is going after something, and regardless of the result, do you learn something? So rather than thinking about every little thing that might go wrong, consider what might go right. Because it's an 80-20. Most likely 80% of what goes right is going to happen. So allow yourself to feel excited about the possibilities. Yes, I know we focus so much on, what if I do this and I fail? What if I do this and I fail? What if you do this and you succeed? What if you do this and you succeed? So we have to look at the possibilities of succeeding are 80% versus failing, which are 20%. So imagine how much more exciting your life would be if you give yourself the chance to have something amazing happen each day. Now, these are just small little things, just something amazing, something different, something that you were hesitant about doing, and you did it. Imagine how much texture and variety you would add to your life. So view fear as a challenge. So one of the things, I had a client that was started up a business again, and it stopped, and it's starting up again. And we were talking. She goes, "Well, I'm really nervous about it. I'm really nervous." I'm going, "What if you change the word nervous for excited?" "Well, I'm really excited about it." And we worked on it, and she now when she feels nervous, she automatically says, "Man, I'm so excited about this." This is the same thing with fear and challenge. Think of fear as the beginning of a game. See if you can get yourself to take an action that makes you afraid when you think about doing it. So it's a challenge, right? Some sort of a challenge. And of course, be smart and challenge yourself to do things that you can actually improve your life. There are a lot of jackass, yes, things out there that we can do, but they don't improve our life. So we can think of a lot of things. There's a physical part, right, for anything like Spartan races, CrossFit, going to the gym, doing a marathon, doing a triathlon. Then we're afraid of it, but it can be a challenge. There can be the mental part, learning something new, learning a new language, learning some form of business, of business that you can do. When we start looking at something that we can improve our life, and we hold ourselves back, it's usually because of fear. But if we look at it as a challenge, we can rise to the occasion and surmount that challenge, and then our life will improve. So you can live a fearless life and experience many more rewarding adventures than you do now. You really, really can. Believe me, your fears are manufactured inside your head. You can let them go and be bold. It is easy. If you need help with this, contact a coach or contact me by going to warriormindcoach.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, ask for your introductory consultation, and we'll talk about it. Often becoming fearless means stepping outside your comfort zone. You need somebody there, a support person, to help push you and tell you that it's going to be okay. So start today by doing something you've always wanted to do but didn't quite have the courage. Even if it's just looking into it, like you want to take a vacation, you want to do backpacking around Europe. At least today, start looking at what it's going to take to backpack around Europe and get a sense for it. Get to see this as a challenge, and then just relax and do it. So show yourself there is nothing to fear, and of fear itself, right? There's that old saying, there is nothing to fear but fear itself. But these are some of the things that we've covered today on how to become more fearless, how to become more courageous. I really hope you take these to heart and start doing something that puts you outside your comfort zone. For more information on this podcast or my blogs, please visit warriormindcoach.com. And also follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.